Just a quick heads up, for the first time in 10 years, Motorworld Hype finally has merch. Yeah, we just launched our own store with our first design, Double Clutch. Why Double Clutch? Because you should. The design is available on t-shirts, sweaters, and hoodies. If you're interested, we'll leave a link to the store in the description below the video, or you could visit motorworldhype.com and click on the store button or the banner at the top of the website. Alright, let's get into the video now. It's been 2 years since Need for Speed Payback was released, and while that game definitely had its flaws and speed cards, I still enjoyed it a lot and it left me excited about what would come next. The next game is here and it's called Need for Speed Heat. In a few ways it's very similar to Payback. The game still takes advantage of an open world format, though instead of the world being inspired by Las Vegas like in Payback, Need for Speed Heat takes place in a city heavily inspired by Miami. Bank and rep return as currency and experience points respectively. Beyond that, there are extra activities outside of the main story all over the map to encourage players to explore the environment. Though that is where most of the similarities end. The biggest difference in Need for Speed Heat is its day and night mechanic. During the day, players are free to race all over the city in sanctioned races. This is the encouraged method of earning money, or bank. Because everything is nice and legal, racers don't need to worry very much about the cops during the day. At night, however, things change. There are still races to run, but nothing about them is legal. On top of that, there's not as much money to be earned. Instead, night races are all about earning experience points, or rep. Needless to say, cops are on the hunt at night, and if they see you, they will engage immediately. At night, you have something called a heat meter, which starts at 0 and goes up to 5. The higher your heat level, the more aggressive the cops will be. If you are in a street race at night and cops see you, they will interrupt the race in the middle of it to chase you and your opponents. Anyway, back to the heat meter. It also doubles as a multiplier for your rep, which means if you can win a lot of street races at night while also avoiding the cops, you can stand to earn a lot of rep. But avoiding the cops is the key here, because if the cops catch you before you can make it back to your garage or a safe house, not only do you lose a significant chunk of all the rep you built up, but they'll take your money too. This turns night racing into a risk-reward situation. Do you play it safe and only do 1 or 2 street races and then pack it in for the night? Or do you risk it all by staying out to maximize your gains? Pair those mechanics with a new person in town looking to prove themselves on the street storyline that involves plot twist, crooked cops, and you have Need for Speed Heat in a nutshell. Now that we know what we're getting into, the question becomes, how good is the game once it's all said and done? The answer is, well, it could be better. Need for Speed Heat definitely checks some of the boxes. The visuals are really good. The environments look detailed and everything is lit really well. Just to note, all the gameplay footage you see in this review was taken from an Xbox One X console. The selection of cars is vast and has a ton of crowd favorites, except for the absence of Toyota, but that's more of a Toyota thing than it is a Need for Speed thing, so I'm not going to knock them for that. The performance upgrade system is vastly better than it was in Payback. The dreaded speed card system is gone and players can pick specific engine part upgrades. There are even motor swaps available now, which is a first for the series. Each car has a performance index that increases with performance upgrades. Remember that because it'll be important later. The cosmetic upgrade system is stronger than it's ever been. There's a great selection of body kits and wheels. The wheels themselves can be customized down to color and width. There's also tire sidewall bombs and stance tuning returns. Players can even tune their exhaust note. By now, you're probably thinking that after listing all that positive stuff, there's a catch coming. And you'd be right. In my opinion, Need for Speed Heat is a solid game, but it has some issues that really got to me. For me, the problem that really rises to the top is that Need for Speed Heat requires players to grind a lot if they want to get anywhere, and that causes the first part of the game to really drag. The day-night system turns into a catch-22. When you want to upgrade the parts on your car, money is not enough. Many parts also require the player to reach a certain rep level to become purchasable, So even if you have enough money to buy something, if you don't have the rep level required, you can forget about it. Okay, well, you might be thinking there are a lot of cars, just earn money and buy faster cars, right? Nope. Like performance parts, faster cars not only require money, but they have to be unlocked by earning rep. Well, now you might be thinking, that just means you have to go out and win night races. Simple, right? Nope. In the very beginning, night races aren't too difficult, but they progressively get harder. Though the harder the race, the more rep you earn. This is where the performance index I mentioned earlier comes in. When you highlight a race event on the map, there's a recommended performance index if you want to have a shot at winning. You can still run a race regardless of your car's index, but if it isn't at least somewhat close to the recommended level, you're just going to get smoked over and over again. The only way to increase your performance index is to upgrade your car, but you can't upgrade your car unless you have the rep level. But you can't get your rep level up very quickly unless you win the harder races, but you can't win those races if your performance index is too low. You see the problem here? This also becomes an issue if you want to progress in the narrative, as story races are also locked behind rep levels. The only real way around this is to keep replaying the easier races over and over again to slowly earn more rep so you can unlock better parts to buy. That's going to be a long process for anyone who doesn't want to gamble by losing rep to the cops. They'd only have to do 1 or 2 races at a time, then constantly go back to the garage and start over again. By the way, performance parts are definitely not cheap, and you don't exactly earn a whole lot of money per race relative to the price of parts. Oh, and a lot of the cosmetic parts cost money too. So depending on how much money you've got, you'll have to decide between upgrading your car's looks, which mean nothing for performance, or spending the money on performance parts. The bottom line is that Need for Speed Heat becomes entirely too much about grinding. It did eventually get better when I reached rep level 15. But getting to level 15 was a freaking drag, and it really shouldn't have been. Once you get to that point though, the game becomes much better as the need to grind will taper off. Here's the good news. There's nothing wrong with this game that can't be fixed with updates. If a lot of people end up feeling the same way I do, then I think EA will do something to address it. If I'm the only one who feels this way, then well, they don't really need to do anything, do they? Here's the thing. Despite everything I've said in the last few minutes, I still think Need for Speed Heat is worth buying if you haven't done so already. Grinding aside, it's a solid driving game with great graphics and unique elements like the Need for Speed Studio app that lets you customize cars on the go. However, I will say that if you want this game and you haven't bought it yet, hold off. Right now the game retails for $60, which given its problems, I don't quite think it's worth that much right now. Though on Black Friday, Need for Speed Heat will be for sale for $35 at Target and $39 at Best Buy. The sales are for the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game. For that price, I think this game is well worth it, and you should try to pick it up if at all possible. Hopefully this review helps you decide if Need for Speed Heat is the right racing game for you. Like I said, I think overall it's a good game, but it has some issues that I think should be addressed. If you like this review, help me out with a thumbs up and leaving a comment below letting me know what your thoughts on the game are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All gameplay footage in this video was captured on a Ninja Inferno provided by Atomos, capturing gameplay and video footage in 4K resolution in 10-bit up to 60 frames per second and in HDR. For more information, visit atomos.com.